Hello everyone, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and I hope everybody those who celebrated had a good holiday weekend. I was driving to see my family, but also pick up some IKEA bookshelves. So we're building more IKEA bookshelves, which is, let me mute this, mute. Where we're going to put a bunch of books. We have a bunch of books here at the archive that are related to educational films, which is what we collect. So let's get started. This is something I wanted to show on Friday as a pre-recorded show, but it turns out I didn't. I had enough patriotic material that I spread it over 2 days. So here's Stars and Selling. Enjoy.
Now, one of the great tragedies in selling is the failure of all well-trained salespeople to recognize how the successful principle operating in one sales field apply to another. Let me illustrate in the hope that never again will you see anyone selling anything without figuring out the application to your field. Now, this is a true story. Seen as the drapery department of a great store whose president had asked me to talk to his supervisory people. And I was shopping the store for ideas for my talk. The drapery department was beautiful. Lovely carpets on the floor, soft textured walls, and easels over which they could throw the pieces of drape so the buyer could visualize exactly how they'd look at her own window. The buyer is in front of the easel. The salesperson is beside the easel. Choice is finally narrowed down to 3 pieces. At this point, the sales girl does a very smart thing. She calls over the expert, the interior decorator, to help the buyer make a final choice. It's a sound procedure, and it's calculated to help close the sale. But the expert made a mistake. She came over and stood on the other side of the easel. That's wrong, because now there are 2 against 1, the salesman and the expert against the buyer. Where should she have stood? Why, she should have stood alongside of the buyer if she wanted to help him. Always stand alongside the person you want to help. How many times have you noticed at a retail counter that the sales clerk calls over a supervisory person to help the buyer answer questions? And she lines up alongside of the clerk behind the counter. There you are again, 2 against 1, and that's wrong. Stand beside the one you're supposed to help. Suppose you've got a prospect sitting in the front seat of an automobile on the showroom floor, and he's got the wheel and he's about ready to he feels good about it, and you want to clinch the sale. So you call over the dealer or the sales manager. Where should he sit? Why, you ought to sit right in the front seat alongside of that buyer. Take the buyer's position, the buyer's part, if you want to help make the sale. And now for the benefit of salesmen of insurance and advertising and industrials who can't see what they can learn out of retail, let's change the scene. Let's put it in an office where they normally sell. Now, I'm calling on a tough one. I'm there to help the salesman close the sale. But because the salesman doesn't understand the basics, he gets in the way. And how does he do it? Why, by lining up his chair right alongside of mine. Now, sure, he's heard our story a lot of times. I'm supposed to tell it. And because he's heard it a lot of times, he probably doesn't listen very intently. He looks out the window. He isn't interested. He probably hitches himself around in the chair, crosses and recrosses his legs, smokes, and does a lot of other things to distract the buyer. What should he have done? Why, he should have taken that chair and pulled it around as close as he could to the buyer. And during the course of the conversation, he should have listened as intently as if he'd never heard that story I was telling before. He might even, by prearrangement, ask a couple of leading questions which would bring out points the buyer was obviously be interested in. Yes, and he might even nod as we went along in our conversation, because that might help get agreement on the part of the buyer, and that's what we came for, agreement. Wake up. Watch all successful selling. The basics are the same, and you can use them no matter where you sell. No matter what you sell or where you sell, there's always a need for plenty of knowledge so you can talk intelligently. There's also a need for special preparation, says Mr. Joseph Kolodny. Mr. Kolodny, sometimes termed the voice and force behind the American tobacco industry, is managing director of the National Association of Tobacco Distributors. Here he is to tell us how we must get ready to sell. Mr. Kolodny.
Even in my fondest dreams, it never occurred to me when I arrived in this wonderful nation many years ago that I would be included among the galaxy of top-notch salesmen who are participating in this historic event. Why is this event historic? Because belatedly, the spotlight is cast on all of us salesmen, you and me, as pretty important people. There is an ever greater realization that in hitting the pavements, ringing doorbells, moving merchandise, we bulwark the American standard of living. But, my friends, we should and must take advantage of this recognition by constantly striving to sell better and quite logically to increase our earning power. Personally, I found out during my teething period in the selling profession that learning more and more about the industry, the products we sell, and the problems of our customers makes for really enjoyable and productive selling. Yes, my friends, selling can be a mighty pleasant profession, provided we as salesmen realize that no matter what we sell or where we sell, there is an overriding need for thorough and expert knowledge. When the salesman acquires that sort of knowledge, and lawyers have to present it in an interesting and captivating manner, then the approach to the buyer seems to become almost carefree and effortless. Well do I recall during my apprenticeship in selling tobacco and confectionery products that on one occasion a customer abruptly ordered me out of his office. Instead of becoming annoyed or irritated, I realized that the time had come for me to do a little soul searching and to examine my techniques. Right then, I realized that I had failed utterly in gaining this customer's respect because I neither understood his problems nor, for that matter, my own. I saw that I had to be able to tune in exactly on the customer's wavelength. Otherwise, I would be wasting his time and my own. So I set out to build a fund of pertinent knowledge. When you are prepared with knowledge, you get a double advantage. You are more convincing. You look like a man who knows what he's talking about. And your knowledge comes as a pleasant surprise to the buyer, so you get a better reception. Salesmen are doing this today in all lines. The salesmen among us who really know the stuff and know the buyer stuff too. Here is one of them at work.
Rush, you have a lot of traffic in and out of here. It should help you sell impulse items.
Mostly they just stop by for cigarettes or chewing gum. Hurrying, afraid they'll miss the bus.
A good display would help, especially if they're high-profit items.
Give me a pack of cigarettes, that's all.
Rush, there's something I've been wanting to show you. Yep.
Go ahead.
Russ, do you know which items in your store account for what percent of your volume? Do you know how you can step up the sales of high-profit items?
What brings this up?
You know how much this counter in the average drugstore should make just to break even?
You know?
I've been getting some information.
Why?
If I can help you get more business, then I'm bound to get more. So look, Russ, you need to make at least 28% profit just to break even on this counter. Now, most cigar counters make about 32% profit.
Where'd you get all this?
These are facts, figures, data our company's got together. Look, Russ, merchandising ideas that some stores are using to help increase turnover of high-profit items. Here, keep this for my next trip.
Well, thanks. Thanks. What's that?
New ballpoint pen.
Nothing doing.
Easiest writing pen you ever saw, Russ. Here, try it.
Writes pretty good.
New kind of a point. And notice the way the barrel's tapered. Makes it easy to hold. Just the item to increase your gross margin. Good profit. 50% markup.
Well, that's what you've been leading up to, eh? All right. I'll take it.
Suppose I rearrange this counter. You're not going to sell any less merchandise, that's a cinch. And you may sell more. These pens are great for impulse buying.
You mean even when they're in a hurry?
Right.
Well, you seem pretty sure of yourself.
Next week, you'll be asking me for merchandise for your other counters.
If this works, I won't wait. I'll call you.
He had prepared himself with facts, extra information that got the buyer's interest, got the order, and paved the way for future business. Get ready. No matter what you sell, it may be steel girders or an investment service, you will increase your earnings and your self-satisfaction. The horizon is always unlimited when you recognize that selling is a career demanding skill that comes from careful preparation through learning. So get ready. Get ready to talk confidently about it, whatever you sell. Get ready with special knowledge. Get ready to open doors for more sales. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kolodny, for telling us to get ready. Now let's prove this principle works in other than the retail or wholesale field, and here's the true story. 25 years ago, I spent 2.5 years calling on 35 contacts at 4 Chrysler divisions and their advertising agencies, and no sale. Motley finally woke up and asked questions. Learned that Mr. Walter P. Chrysler, then actively running the business, had never indicated any interest in my magazine. So he had to be sold, but I couldn't get in. But I could and did get prepared. I found out all there was to know about Mr. Chrysler. I was prepared if the break ever came. It came, it usually does. I had learned in my study of Mr. Chrysler that he and Florence Ziegfeld were close friends. I saw in my magazine one day an article about Ziegfeld. I was able to take advantage of this break because I was prepared, because I knew my prospect well. I put this story in a special folder, then with personal stationery hand-delivered, got the Ziegfeld story to Mr. Big. Back came a letter telling me how much she enjoyed the article, how nice it was of us to publish it. That letter went to those 39 contacts, and the next year we did $390,000 worth of business with the Plymouth division alone. Joe Kolodny came to our shores as thousands of others have, seeking for a future. And he made good, and you can too. As Joe said, he's prepared to take advantage of the opportunities which exist in abundance in the great country of the United States and Canada. Now we're going to see one of our special attractions, the greatest shoe shine salesman in the United States. Tell us how you make so many sales.
How I make more sales, that's easy. You see, all you ladies and gentlemen out there, you don't sell shoe shines, but you can get more business the way I do. Yeah, I tell you. When I first come to this job, I sit here and I wait for them. I think, well, maybe he don't want to shine anyway. I do some business, shine maybe 20 pair of shoes every day. Then I get new idea. I ask them all, go after them. And some say, well, look, mister, how about a nice shine, huh? Well, you know, not everybody take. Some say maybe yes, some say maybe no, but now I make maybe between 40, 60 sales every day. That's right. You see, what I find out is this. If you ask more customers, you make more sales. That's right. If you want to do a big business, you just remember this. Just ask them all.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for the order, and ask them for it all the time. It works in any line. It's the companion principle to see a lot of people. Oh, sure, you say. That means organize your time, start early, work late. No, it means more than just seeing people literally, physically. The most successful salesmen are continually calling on people even when they don't actually see them. How's that? Why, every newspaper, trade paper, and magazine is full of news about your prospects and their organizations. Clip these mentions, favorable ones, of course, and on your own time, after hours, scribble a little 1 or 2 sentence note to accompany the clipping. It's a call on the prospect, really, and the very best kind. You aren't asking him for something. You're writing him about himself, and he's more interested in himself than anything else. It'll work in any field. The most successful retail shoe salesman I ever heard of was in Boston. No working day went by that he didn't send out 10 personally written postal cards to 10 customers who hadn't used their charge accounts recently. In that way, he saw a lot of people, and he did a top-volume sales job. Now, every one of us knows the importance of having enthusiasm for what we're selling. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you. But here's a slant from a woman who has built up a business on enthusiasm. Mrs. Brownie Weiss got her early experience in the party method of selling to groups of people. Her enthusiasm led her into taking on the entire production of a factory making plasticware. Today, she sends out a multi-million-dollar sales organization to do a multi-million-dollar business. She's the vice president of Tupperware Home Parties Incorporated, Mrs. Wise.
Thanks, Mr. Motley, and especially for letting me talk about enthusiasm. When I was struggling to learn this intricate and fascinating business of selling, I found there was one thing I had to learn first. I had to learn to believe in myself. Belief in yourself, in your product, in your company, builds enthusiasm. I learned that when you want something, enough to work for it with all your heart, you develop enthusiasm for your job and for what you're selling. This is real enthusiasm, sincere enthusiasm. That kind is contagious. It spreads to buyers and helps you close sales. It is the outstanding difference between top salespeople and those who just get by. A tremendous amount of enthusiasm comes to a salesman as a result of knowing his product thoroughly. From A to Z, what it will do, how long it will last, why it will save the customer money. Then when we talk of our product, there is a telling conviction in our words, our actions, our eyes. In selling, there can be no real enthusiasm without thorough knowledge. And why is it hard for some salesmen to develop this enthusiasm? I think it's because selling gives us more freedom and less direct guidance than routine jobs. So, we have to be our own top sergeants. We must boss ourselves into learning the things that will give us the enthusiasm we need. The beginning of belief in yourself, the origin of confidence and learning, stems from wishing, earnest and purposeful wishing for something or things or for a certain achievement. Enthusiasm, too, begins with wishing. And then actually it becomes a part of you as you put your wishes to work. You can do this by setting definite goals for yourself and then working to achieve those goals. I don't mean long-range goals only. We must give ourselves the encouragement we need from day to day by cutting our long-range goals up into daily and weekly quotas, a certain sales volume, for instance. Or if you're selling outside, a predetermined number of calls on new prospects. Miraculous changes have taken place because some people dared to wish, to set themselves a goal and then put their hearts into working for it. Let's see a representative of a woman's apparel manufacturer as she calls on the buyer of a small department store.
Good morning, Miss White.
Good morning.
My, it's certainly a busy place around here today. Things seem to be just humming.
They are humming, my dear, but not the way you think.
Why, everything looks wonderful. Your new department layout seems to be coming along fine.
That shipment of daytime cotton
Oh, the
dresses
Sunrise line. Aren't they terrific?
I've been trying to reach you.
Oh, I've just been so terribly busy. I haven't been in the office one day this week. Of course, things are going wonderfully, but it does keep me on the run.
We've had complaints about the Sunrise line. My salespeople tell me that customers have to make extensive alterations, both hems and seams. They're made too skimpy, not at all like the samples.
Well, that just couldn't be. We're particularly proud of the way they fit.
Well, they don't. Looks to me as if your factory's cutting corners. Why, some of our customers say the 16s are actually only 14s.
Customers can be awfully aggravating. I bet some of those ladies are just trying to wear a size too small.
I don't think it's the customers. Miss Johnson, we're beginning to wonder if the whole shipment was marked with the wrong sizes.
Oh, dear. Those girls that do the sewing, I bet they reach for the 14 tabs instead of the 16s. You know, just between you and me, I sometimes wonder if they know what they're doing. But, of course, you know how help is these days.
Yes, I know.
Well, I'll write a report on that. But now, how about the fall line? Have you decided what you'd like to order?
Let's let that go for a while. There's still time.
Well, take care of yourself. I'll see you my next time in town, dear.
She probably blames the circumstances for her trouble. Most of you will sometimes meet a complaint of some kind in almost any kind of selling. But when you have set yourself a goal and are putting your heart into it, you'll handle the situation in a different way.
We've had complaints about the Sunrise line. My salespeople tell me the customers have to make extensive alterations, both hems and seams. They're made too skimpy, not at all like the samples.
Oh, that's really too bad. We're particularly proud of the line, but, of course, if something has gone wrong, we'll do our best to make it right. We feel our dresses are the best values on the market in their price range. And it's my goal to satisfy you on that point, Miss White. Will you give me all the information you can about the trouble with the Sunrise line?
Well, all I know is that they don't fit. Some of our customers say the 16s are actually only 14s. Looks as if your factory is cutting corners.
Oh, I'm sure that's not deliberate. We're proud of the fit, but, of course, something could have gone wrong. Whatever it is, I'm anxious to get to the bottom of it.
Well, we're beginning to wonder if the whole shipment was marked with the wrong sizes.
Well, that could be. Let me go out on the floor and take a few dresses off the racks. I'll get a model, and we'll just check a few dresses at random. We'll measure, too, just to double-check. I want to have a first-hand report on this. And don't you worry. When I find out what the trouble is, I'll get on the phone immediately and straighten it out.
I knew you would, Grace. Oh, by the way, before you leave the building, you better stop in on Elsie. She's been after me to add a new line of teen clothes.
Now let's think what happened. 1, she had a goal, complete satisfaction. 2, she believed in herself and believed in her company. 3, she did not blame anyone else, neither her company's policies nor its employees. 4, she set about doing something about it immediately. 5, she went even further by personally going to check the trouble herself to achieve her goal of complete satisfaction. That kind of enthusiasm will pay off for anybody who sells. To achieve your goal, put your heart into the job. Set the goal, work to make the goal, and keep checking up on yourself. Analyze your selling experiences, good and bad. You'll profit from what you learn. You'll gain more confidence in yourself and more enthusiasm for your job, your service, your product. That is the kind of genuine enthusiasm that buyers appreciate. It's the kind that makes money for them and for you.
Yes, Mrs. Wise, and who objects to making money? You can't take it with you, but where can you go without it these days? Barney Weiss has shown us a practical way. Set your goals and then really work for them. One area in which a salesperson must handle himself very carefully is the way he keeps on when at first the buyer seems to be lukewarm. For a good steer on that subject, we now call on the father of the frozen concentrates industry, Mr. John M. Fox, president of the Minute Maid Corporation. Mr. Fox.
Okay, Red, here goes. There are many times when you experience the disappointment of losing a sale. And these turndowns are even more discouraging when they come from people who really need things, who have the money to buy. You've got a whale of a product or a service, and there's every reason why people should buy it. So you try again, because you know that you ought to be persistent. Once in a while, that works. But persistence, I have learned, needs direction. You have to plan it. You have to know how to be persistent while keeping the buyer's goodwill. Without persistence, I probably wouldn't be in business today. You know, right after World War II, we tried to market orange juice concentrate, but as a powder. Everybody was tired of powdered foods, and we got nowhere with it. Then we decided to try it as a frozen concentrate. And mind you, this was after we had just about gone through all of our capital. In fact, we were practically busted. We had an immediate success, of course. Ha! Well, any of you fellows out there that are in the food business know how difficult it is to get a new food product on the market. Why should any store stock something that isn't already popular? The answer is they don't. We were getting very near the end of our rope. Finally, we tried another way. We decided to go from house to house to introduce this product. That would help to build up a demand, first in one town and then in another. The stores began to stock it, and in that way, a new industry was on its way. It isn't always enough to persevere. Sometimes you have to find another direction. For instance, one direction to go when you are meeting buyer resistance is to ask more questions about them, about their homes and their businesses. This often uncovers other buying motives that you didn't suspect before. Another direction you can go is to use a different method of showing them. If you've shown the product itself or have explained the features of your service, you may suggest looking at a comparison chart or a report in a trade paper, or use one of your selling tools that you've been neglecting, perhaps. Now you have a reason for your being persistent, the reason for the buyer to let you come back again, or a reason to hear more from you. Here's an example of an entirely different and perhaps rather unusual direction taken by one salesman. He could be selling anything. It just so happens he's selling frozen orange juice in a new market, from house to house.
Good afternoon. Have you ever tried frozen orange juice concentrate, ma'am?
Now, wait.
Orange juice in a more convenient form and one which is more economical.
Being pushy isn't going to do you any good. I detest pushy salesmen.
Won't you even try a sample?
Not even if it's trimmed in mink and rubies, and especially today, I don't want any. With 14 members of my club waiting in the other room for refreshments, and the maid out sick, sandwiches still to be prepared, coffee to put on. Now, you get out of here before I lose my temper, which is bad enough on an ordinary day, but on a day like this, it could rock the whole United States, Mexico, and Canada. I mean what I say, so go someplace else. Oh.
She sounded irritated. Now, he could have folded his tent like the Arabs and stolen silently away. But he saw an opportunity. 14 women were having a party. What a chance for a demonstration. He looked through the door into the kitchen and thought about that woman, beside herself with all those guests and all that work ahead, and no help. That was her only interest at that time. Well, he could do something about it. So he went, unasked, into the kitchen while she was in the other room. He took off his coat. He went to work. He finished making the sandwiches, and naturally, prepared some of his orange juice.
You in my house, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call the police, right? Oh, my. That's wonderful.
I thought maybe if I helped you that you'd have time to try some of my orange juice. Sure. As a matter of fact, I made enough for your guests, too. 14, I think you said you had.
Right.
This is something you're going to appreciate, I know. Especially from the standpoint of convenience on days like this.
Why, it's good. It's very good.
It comes frozen in these small tins. Only 4 of them made these 2 big pitcherfuls. You simply add water and stir it very slowly.
Of course, the point is not that you should clean up somebody's kitchen or office. The point is that he had perseverance. He stuck to it, finding another direction that he could take in order to overcome that buyer's resistance. The direction he took appealed to her self-interest, and he made the sale. So give direction to your persistence. One way is to find another reason for them to buy. Another is to try different methods of showing them. As far as the principle of direct persistence is concerned, we could have been selling complicated machinery products or something intangible, not orange juice. Keep on, but persist with intelligent direction, and you can sell the world.
Thank you, Mr. Fox, for giving some good directions as to directing our persistence. And now we have a first-hand report about her job from Mrs. Rita Brighthut, who sells behind the counter at Gimbel Brothers right here in New York. Mrs. Brighthut is the winner of many sales contests, has earned a number of high honors during her career, and serves as a sponsor in her glove department. She's received many complimentary unsolicited letters from customers. Mrs. Brighthut has sold all her life. She likes it, and now she's going to tell you why. But before she does, I want to tell you that Mrs. Brighthut is a housewife. She has a family, 2 sons, one 32 and one 27. And today, this day, at 12:15, she became a grandmother for the 2nd time. Mrs. Brighthut, congratulations. And now, how did you get started in sales work?
When I was going to school, I decided that I wanted to go into selling because I like people. I like to be with them, and I like to serve them. I can't remember ever wanting any other kind of job. So since I finished school, I've been in sales work. In the glove department, I talk with at least 100 people on an average day. Several times that many at rush time, like the holiday season.
That rush season must be a problem with all those people jammed around all those counters, everybody wanting attention at the same time.
I enjoy that. When a lot of people are waiting for me, I try to give them all a little attention, even if it's just a smile to tell them I appreciate their waiting. Most people are considerate if you treat them with consideration. Of course, you can't always like every single customer, but everyone has his good points, and I always remember that. I like people.
Mrs. Brighthut, what about upgrading the customer? Do much of that?
Customers are interested in getting the best value. I try to help them make their selections, find out what she expects to wear with her gloves, help her choose the style, color, and material. If price is not the main thing, I often upgrade her, perhaps showing some extra value she gets in a glove that costs more but will do more for her.
And of course that means more to you, too.
Yes, but the commission doesn't even enter my mind when I'm dealing with a customer. I feel that I want to satisfy that individual customer. If I do that, the commission will take care of itself. The attitude of salespeople often decides how much the customer buys, or whether they buy at all. I guess I just simply enjoy meeting people, making friends, being friendly, and selling. It's the best work in the world.
Yes, it's the best work in the world. And thanks, Mrs. Brighthut. You've given us a wonderful picture of what it means to you to be in the selling profession. It is a wonderful profession, selling. Actually, it's the same kind of profession as education, religion, medicine. Needs are not any longer important in the great democracies of Canada and the United States. The needy peoples of the world are elsewhere, and they're not prosperous or happy either. In North America, we're no longer filling needs, we're creating wants. Selling is want creating. So, too, in education. An educator must create desire on the part of the student, who may need an education, but he'll get it only if he wants it badly enough. All great religious leaders were great salesmen. All great medical men have possessed a so-called bedside manner, creating in the patient a desire to follow the doctor's advice. So we in the profession of selling take our place alongside of the other great professions, creating wants among millions for a better and richer life.
It's a Jam Handy film. So they just, either they had a TV studio or they rented one and they just shot a whole show and then dumped it to a film. I would say in watching this, it was great for salespeople, but boy, it just makes me feel like salespeople are sociopaths. Like everything, you see the person, but you really see the person as a sale, a potential buyer, which, I don't know, I think that's maybe one of the reasons we're in trouble right now. That's just my 2 cents. Okay, let me see if this will work. We are going to ram it into reverse. We're in 4th gear. We're going to ram it into reverse. This is Hans Richter. Name sound familiar? You'll see.
The film From Dada to Surrealism has two parts. The first consists of a number of small films and film fragments. They are documents of the so-called avant-garde movements of the 1920s. The photographic quality of these films, of these documents, has suffered greatly, because the original negatives were lost during the following world upheaval. All prints had therefore to be made from prints which themselves were prints of earlier prints. The second part contains one episode each of 3 longer films, which are made 20 years later, between 1940 and 1960. Being a painter, I have taken up, as you will find in the first part, those problems which I have encountered in the arts of my time, that means modern art. I have tried to solve these problems in motion. As I was at that time, 1920, an abstract painter, my first experiments are naturally abstract ones, and without a literary story. But soon also other influence in modern art made themselves felt, like Cubism, Dadaism, and finally, Surrealism. In film study, certain abstract forms are followed by objects which resemble them, or even part of objects, as in Cubism. In visual terms, this effect is similar to rhymes in poetry. A step further leads already to a kind of story continuity in the fragment of the film Inflation, a macabre dance of zeros and people. Still more story-bound is a fragment of Race Symphony, in which a horse racing is shaped into a kind of abstract rhythm. And even a publicity film may be transformed into a film poem, like in Tuppence Magic, an association between similar movements with each other, in picture as well as in sound. And the same goes for Everything Turns, Everything Revolves, where a country fair is taken as a vehicle for film magic. And finally, in the Dadaistic film Ghost Before Breakfast, objects as well as free-floating forms play a fantastic action and reveal the film as a new and original art form of the 20th century. In the years following the last war, this development continued. The second part of the film contains 3 examples of this effort. The first is the episode Desire, from the film Dreams That Money Can Buy, 1944 to 47. It was inspired by collage of the surrealist painter Max Ernst. It became a surrealist study of romance and erotic in a Victorian setting, an adventure of desire and fulfillment in which Max Ernst himself played the role of the Freudian superego. The second episode was taken from the chess film 8x8, 1954 to 57. The White Queen is to be conquered by 3 officers of the Black Party. The chess problem is taken as a device to unfold a human story, one that can be felt behind the obvious happenings. The third and last is the end episode of the film Dada, 1950 to 61. Tristan Tzara, the chief of the French Dadaists, sings Le Chanson Dada, with its poetry, music, and irony in the special setting of a laundromat.
Hi, everybody. That was great. Thanks so much for the kind words. I expected there to be a little bit of pushback, but yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Keme Bride, for donating via the Super Thanks button. That's a great way to support us. That money will just go to buy hard drives and artist tape and IKEA bookshelves and other things. So thank you. We're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program. If you want to continue watching AV Geeks stuff and Prelinger stuff and a bunch of commercials, you can go to twitch.tv/avgeeks and you'll see it runs 24/7. So we're going to go back to that. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.